G'day and welcome to Aussievision. It's Dale here, and we're joining you today after getting some news about Australia Decides. But sadly, for a lot of fans' feelings here, Australia Decides is not going to be happening next year. Now, I'm joined by the lovely Liv from the Aussievision team to have a chat through our initial reactions to this news. Liv, how are you feeling about the fact that we won't have an Australia Decides?
I'm gutted. Like, as someone who has never actually been to Eurovision in person, Oz Decides was the next best thing, right? Where you get to go somewhere, you get together and nerd out about Eurovision, and then you get to party till 4 a.m. to Eurovision bangers. So I am so gutted that it's not happening.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. And I reckon a lot of the initial feeling is more about the get together of fans in a way, and less almost about the show. So that is a real shame because, we're such a large country. It's hard for us to get together, and Australia decides was such like a mini Eurovision for us to do that. But also, I guess the show itself, like I feel like Australia Decides has brought us some left of field artists like Electric Fields, even Voyager from Nowhere, these gems. And I guess I'm kind of sad we're not going to have a showcase to show Australian music as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm not someone who normally really gets behind song contest type things in Australia, but this was a format that I really enjoyed. And a lot of my relatives who aren't necessarily big on these types of things could also enjoy it as well. So it was a nice little side thing that we had going on, but alas, not happening next year.
Yeah, because we've had three Australia sides, and particularly the first two were very successful. Last year was a great show, but unfortunately the ratings weren't as high because, look, I think we had a bit of that stuttering year of 2021. We didn't have an Australia size; it was kind of coming back. So I can kind of understand maybe where that was happening, but it seems like a show was going to happen, something was happening, and it's kind of all fallen apart in the last few weeks. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, by the sounds of all the kind of little whispers that were trickling through, it sounds like there definitely was something in the pipeline, but we might not know much more than that. It's interesting that the ratings went down for this year's contest because what I noticed was that the participation from fans was actually going up. So the stadium was fuller than ever. There were more people at the parties. Everything was going up. So I think there definitely was a market of people who could have tried to keep it afloat. But yeah, something's gone awry.
Yeah, and look, the momentum was happening in a good way because Australia Decides may not have rated as well, but Eurovision rated the best it has in years this year. So I think, we had that weird 2021. We were starting to build back up again. So it's interesting. We'll be taking a kind of internal selection mode again, which we haven't done properly. Obviously, we had the Montaigne, but we haven't done properly since like, what, 2018 with Jessica Malboy as well. So, yeah, interesting. We certainly had been, chatting to multiple sources here at Aussievision that something was definitely planned. And so it takes a lot of people to put this together. Like you've got SBS, you've got the production company Blink TV, you had for Gold Coast Tourism Queensland and the Gold Coast Council, then you got the artists. So there's so many people involved to put all this together, not just like one entity who makes the decision. So it takes a lot of things to make it work.
100%. And even just a little bit of a delay would have a massive, massive pile on effect for this type of thing. So I think it was all just getting a little bit too late.
Yeah, and I think it was getting very late in the season. We were looking at potentially March 11 because Miff Warhurst was available for a date of a Eurovision event. So it feels like they had a date. It was March 11th, which was the very last opportunity to do it, which wouldn't have given a lot of time to do the national final, choose an artist, get it sorted, and then get ready to go off to Eurovision. So in one way, maybe that's going to be good to do an internal selection. What's your feelings about us going back to internal?
Um, I mean, apart from my love of Oz Decides, I think considering obviously in the background there were a few things that weren't quite working. If our national final was going to be right at the end of the season and portals were only going to be opening now type thing, I think that probably would have been too much pressure on everything. Everything would be coming together too quickly. We've seen in other national finals that things can go very sour very quickly in that way. So I think it would be better probably to just focus all of our eggs in one basket, get a nice little internal selection going, focus only on their staging, only on their song, whatever, and just get a nice package going.
Yeah, it feels like reaction today is a bit mixed already. Look, it's very raw. It's been like an hour or so. So I'm seeing a lot of fans really devastated, but also some fans going, okay, well, look, maybe maybe this is a good thing. We can just, as you said, focus on the artist, focus on our entry, and just smash it out like we used to as well. Because I kind of felt like we were always going to struggle to get a name until after, like, if unless we did eternal selection. So maybe maybe it will work out in the long run for Eurovision, even though maybe internally in Australia we're disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are always names that chuck their hat in Aussievision, but we've seen it over the years that a lot of them don't end up actually winning and ending up at Eurovision, like Vanessa Amorosi and Shepherd and stuff like that.
Mm.
So I think they would be more encouraged to put their hand up for perhaps an internal selection.
Yes, and look, I guess there's been a lot of chat about certain artists or maybe a certain artist for in internal selection. Do you have any thoughts or anything about who it could possibly be that might be in the pipeline?
Oh, well, I mean, there is one person who quite literally put their hand up. Now, was that 2019's concert?
2020, I think it was it? Just
2020? I
before the
think,
pandemic, yeah.
yeah, Dami did literally go on stage and say, I'm back, baby. So she's gone off now, had a little bubs, and now who knows? Maybe she's coming back for Eurovision.
Look, the rumors and the discussion amongst fans has been rife about Dami Im coming back for what we were expecting Australia decides. But you'd have to think if you were a betting person, that you'd probably put a bit of money that it might be her. But hey, we have no official confirmation yet. She certainly sounds like she definitely wants to do it again, but we'll have to wait and see if she does get chosen. If she is chosen, do you think it would be a good choice for Australia?
She's a professional. She knows what she's doing. She's got a standout vocal. I would love to see her back in the contest. She's very passionate about it.
Exactly. Like, that vocal is always going to get great jury points in some variety, whatever it is. I feel like there'd be a bit of love for her coming back from the European public, which, we struggle with the public sometimes. But hey, it's all got to be about the song. It's all got to be that song. If it was a choice for one artist, I probably wouldn't have minded a kind of like even a TV studio song for X artists kind of style, a bit different than what we'd normally do. But I don't know. I think having a public having a say can sort of get some momentum behind things.
Well, do you think there's any chance that we might be doing some kind of little mini compressed, tiny little national final mini something that we
Like,
see in other countries?
at this point, I never say never because I was expecting Australia to sides and we don't have one. So, is it going to be song for X person? Is it going to be something? Look, I'd have to say, I don't think they'd put out a statement today like they did. If they weren't going to do something, I think they would have rebranded Australia Decides the song or whatever. If that was going to be the case, I reckon it's just going to be a pure internal. But who knows at this point? I'm ready for anything. But look, we can all just focus towards Liverpool at this point.
Yep, got that accommodation, got that flight. Let's go.
Yeah. So look, anyway, some big news today. I know people are going to feel a mixed emotion. I think I feel sad we don't have that. We don't all get together and maybe don't get to discover some new artists. But I can also see that we could get one artist that we can do a lot of promotion, get behind, build it in Australia again, and put all the effort towards Eurovision. So I'm feeling very 50-50 right now.
Well, I mean, it's always a thing about Eurovision. What is better, national final or internal selection? And honestly, it depends on the artist, depends on the song, depends on the year. So literally, either is a fantastic option in the right mix. You can succeed with either.
Well said, Liv. Well said. You're always on the money there with that. So, look, thanks for having a chat about our news today. For those watching, let us know your thoughts. Are you happy that we have Australia Decides not happening in 2023? Or are you happy that we're making that internal decision? Let us know your thoughts.
All right. Nice to hear from you guys. Bye.
All right. Catch you later. Bye bye.